In this video, we are going to conduct a science experiment, hence the goggles and the lab coat. You're gonna help me out. Yes, you, the viewer. You are going to send this video to every person in your phone book who thinks that humans have auras. And you are also going to send this video to every person in your phone book who does not think that humans have auras. And if they battle it out and argue in the comments, then we know they didn't watch the video, right? That is the science experiment. So if you actually do watch this video, you will find out that I am conclusively producing evidence that shows that humans have auras. But this is not what this video is about, right? I start with auras, I move on to quantum physics, it relates to consciousness. I then go to the Patanjali Yoga Sutras, and then I come back again on consciousness and brains. Reality is space, time. This is my unified theory of consciousness. This really is a big deal, right? So watch this video to the end. Right, in 2009, in a Japanese study which was published in the journal PLOS ONE, they found that using CCDC cameras, right, which are cryogenically charged device cameras, how this camera works is a part of it is really, really cool, right? A part of the camera is actually 120 degrees Celsius in the negative, right? It's basically frozen past frozen. This is why it's cryogenic. So it's minus 120 degrees Celsius, part of the camera, not the external atmosphere in which the camera operates. If the camera's over there, pointing at me over here, I'm not frozen like in The Incredibles. However, part of that camera is, right? What else does this camera do? It takes a picture of me, and if there is light, aka photons, coming off me, it converts the photons into electrons. And with the intensity of the electricity in the electron, that is a direct comparable equal amount, right, related to how much light was in the photon, how strong the light particle was. So it's really, really cool, right? So you can see if something is firstly emanating light, you can see the intensity of that light, and you can find out conditions. So with this study, it's Japanese, they took 5 people, they took pictures of them every 3 hours for a time period that lasted 3 days. Yeah, wake them up, take a picture if you have to. Science, right? And they found that humans rhythmically, do you know what? I'm going to read the direct quote here because it really is a beautiful thing. So humans directly and rhythmically emit light, and the human body is glimmering with light. The intensity of the light is 1,000 times weaker than what the human eye can see. So we got light coming out of us. It's just a fact, right? You just can't see it, but light's coming out of us. Just so that's check 1 for the aura. You might think, oh yeah, well, humans are like hot body. We got blood. You take a heat scan, it's going to be the same. Wrong. Biophoton emission, that's basically biological photons. So they did not find a conclusive reason as to how the photons were created. They believe it is created by biological reactions inside cells and things, and like just the output of this is photons, light particles. They believe, not conclusively proved, but biophoton explains that. Biological photon, biological light creation, okay? Emission means coming out of you. Biophoton emission was completely different to thermographic images of the surface temperature of the body. So this is easy to prove, right? You would expect when you look at a heat picture of a person, all of this area to be like the hottest because it's where the blood is, it's where the heart is beating, chest, big wide area, okay? And when they took the CCDC images and saw the light coming off people, the highest concentration of light emission was forehead, cheeks, and throat. Right, that's check 2, okay, if we're keeping count for the spiritual team, because with your different chakras, they operate differently and have different things. Your lower chakras, like your root and sacral, these are linked to like emotions and things, okay? So you're carrying a lot inside you. Your third eye, clear as day. Your throat, you know, it's in the middle, basically, right? If you have negative views, if you do not talk nicely about yourself or others, there's going to be problems. And guess what? That's in my next video. If you have inability to stand up for yourself, you might develop like a thyroid problem, things like that. However, past the point, right? Your higher chakras will be the least human contaminated, and therefore will have the greatest auric output, right? What else did the study say? The study said there is no significant correlation of daily photon intensity and temperature. So it doesn't matter what the weather is. It's not linked to the weather. It's coming from inside you, right? So that's another tick for the spiritual team. And this is a really cool one, right? They found a clear negative correlation of photon emission and cortisol. Wow. So let's sum this up. You have light coming out of you rhythmically, emitting from inside of you, right? Too weak for the eye to see, not related to external environmental changes, not related to your body temperature. And if you're stressed, which is what cortisol basically is, right? Your photon emission decreases. Right. If you are stressed, your auric output, if you are stressed, the light intensity decreases. Isn't that what everyone says? You're angry. You're raging. You're depressed. You got problems. Your aura is a low frequency. It's got a small covering around your body. It might be red in color, some may say, right? But if you're breathing, you're mindful, you're happy, you're meditating, yeah, you got a smiley face like this, you got a big, wide, vibrant aura, and you might be blue or purple in color. Look, with light, the more intense light is, the more it basically vibrates like this. And the color changes. This is just the electromagnetic spectrum. Think of a rainbow. Yeah? There you go. Nice and easy. So really and truly wrapped up is exactly what an aura is, right? What else do I want to talk about? Yes. Go to my notes. Your aura is linked with your thoughts, your feelings, your emotions. Yeah? It's energy. Okay, I'm going to prove that one with science. But before I do that, I just really want to hammer this point clear. I really, really want to hammer it because I don't want this in the comments. It's not an aura. It's biophotonic emissions. It's not the same. One's a science term and one is like some spiritual made up nonsense. It's just biochemical reactions that give off light. It just happens to be related to stress and things like that. Yeah, all right, mate. Let me go through a few examples of why you're talking nonsense. Certainly. Number one, hello, guten tag, wagwan, yeah, bonjour, namaste. These are all the same words in different languages. They have the same meaning, literally one by one by one by one. As I read that study, I'm like, yeah, this is literally an aura. Like, there's no other way to say it. It's a different word with the same term and meaning and context. It's the exact same thing. By the way, notice I said namaste. Yeah, namaste. I did not say namaste. Oh, it's like nails on a chalkboard. Every time I hear someone say namaste, it's like, oh, you're trying so hard to be spiritual and prove to the world you're a certain way, but you can't pronounce the word properly. Yeah, it's like me going up to an English person and saying, "Hi-lo, nice to meet you." Doesn't make sense, does it? Namaste, not namaste. Namaste. And furthermore, it's a samosa, not a samosa. Yeah, just gotta get that out of me. Sometimes, like, everyone wants to jump on this spiritual bandwagon, and I got no problem with that, because more to the world, yeah? Learn more about yourself, learn more about others, you know, make yourself a better person. Please do all of these things, but just put a little bit of time into, like, learning how to say these really important words in your opinion, if that's how you're going to say hello to everyone. Obviously got some importance to you. Just learn how to say it right. It just irks me. One of those things, like a chai tea latte. Yeah, go get a chai tea latte from Starbucks. That means tea latte. Crazy. Right. Another one as well. If you're gonna be like in the comments like, oh, but that's different languages. Hello, bonjour, guten tag. They're real words in different languages. You can't just make up a word. Every word is made up, firstly. And secondly, even if it's in the same language, different words, when you know the meaning and context, it's the same thing. For example, hello, what's happening? What's good? What's crackling? Yeah? Blood. Way, my son. Yes, my GG. What's happening? What's good? These are all just different ways to say hello using English words. Yeah, look. That's a hello with no words. As long as you understand context and meaning, then you know that photon emission is the exact same thing as aura. So now you all know it. Now I'll put that to bed. Now I can get onto the real part of the video. Okay, brilliant. Now let's get onto consciousness. So people like to say that auras are linked with your consciousness. Okay, essentially an aura is an energetic response which directly relates to your consciousness, the thoughts your consciousness is having, and how you are feeling. Yeah, that's it. So, quantum entanglement, I talked about in my previous 2 videos. Go check them out because it's actually a 3rd part in a series of 4, which explains to you how a human body actually works in reality and also what reality is. You're getting quantum physics and a unified theory of consciousness from my office. Shout out my office. My non-existent wallpaper, yeah, that's Maya. Let's not forget from the last video. So in this article, really cool, they found that quantumly entangled particles emit heat. They radiate differently. Yeah, and just by looking at how a particle radiates, you can see if it is quantumly entangled with something else. You may not know what that thing is quantumly entangled with, but at least you know that it is in a state of quantum entanglement. So with the 3 different ways that scientists can look at how something radiates to find out if it is quantum entangled, you have number 1, discreteness and quantumization. Basically, it radiates heat in specific ways, which then create a pattern, which is not normal. And then you analyze where the gaps and the leaks are. So like, oh, okay, that's clearly a pattern. That's quantumly entangled. Number 2, you have coherence. This is like organized radiation that only emits certain phase of like I'm trying to keep the science down. Like when I say phase, that's a science term as well. Basically, it looks different to normal standardized classical radiation. Okay, I'm not trying to bore everyone with quantum physics here. Number 3, thermal fluctuations. Again, it's different to normal physics. The heat fluctuates in different ways, and without boring you, I can make an argument for every 3 way that quantumly entangled particles radiate heat in a different manner, but I don't need to, so I'm gonna go to another scientist study. Yeah, don't forget we got the lab coat. Yeah, saintly scientist. So I'm going to another scientific study by the Trinity College researchers. This is in Dublin, and they have found I'm not going to say conclusive evidence because it's kind of hard to like cut into a brain while the person's still alive and do these things. But they have found environmental states in the brain which strongly suggest that quantum entanglement is the reason that our brains operate with consciousness. It is specifically myelin sheaths around nerve fibers which create conditions for entanglement, which influence how neurons and synapses in the brain process information. It makes like a bit of a wet environment, and again, right, this is a science term, okay? Specifically proton spins, all right, which correlate with conscious awareness, and they fade when someone sleeps. So your brain is quantumly entangled. It's just a fact. Or Your brain is quantumly tangled. It is just a fact. Auras exist. It is just a fact. They operate in the exact same way spiritual traditions have been saying for literally millennia, which means thousands of years. That is a fact. They radiate heat in a way that suggests that they are quantumly entangled. So your energy is linked with your brain, which is a conscious collaboration of creativity. Yeah, I like alliteration. I couldn't think of another one, but that was quite good. I like that one. Right, I want to move on because otherwise it's going to be a super long video. And like I said, I'm not trying to bore you with science, okay? Right, so let's continue going back to spirituality. So what I really want to do with this, now I've just put this to bed as quick as I can, right? Auras exist. They relate with our self-inner energy, which is a physics term, wavelengths of vibrating subatomic particles, right? It's linked with our brain. They are quantumly entangled with each other. And in my first video in this 3-4 part series, this video 3 is a 4-part series, but it's video 3. But anyway, in my first video, I explained what quantum entanglement is. I'm not trying to keep re-explaining the same things. Go watch the previous videos to learn the science, right? It's all mixed together, okay? What happens to our consciousness is shown because it creates the exact same effect in our auric field at the same time of feeling that thing, thinking that way. It's just instantly entangled. It is a replica of each other, basically. So continuing on about consciousness and quantum entanglement, I'm now going to go to a 2,400-year-old source, the Patanjali Yoga Sutras. And you might think, how is a Yoga Sutra related to quantum entanglement or consciousness? I thought I was going to cough there, but I didn't. Brilliant. It's just my consciousness telling me to take a break and slow down. And I'm excited. I talk fast. So let me slow it down for this part. So when I was watching a video which narrates and describes the Patanjali Yoga Sutras, shout out the Sanskrit channel, and I'll put the link in my description, as well as all the scientific research. They're all there for you to read yourself. I first looked at it and I was like, it's got cool imagery in the video. I like the video. Then I was like, okay, this is a better translation than the English translation that I'm currently reading. So I'm just going to watch this video. So those are my first two initial thoughts. And then thirdly, I was like, this is not what I expected. If I'm being entirely honest, I expected the Patanjali Yoga Sutras to be about breathing, poses, which is pranayama and asanas, and other basic things like mudras and way to hold your hands and throw up gang signs and whatever, right? That's what I thought it was going to be about. However, it's not really. So I made notes as well, not just on the science on the Patanjali Yoga Sutra, specifically chapter 2, which in my opinion talks directly about consciousness and quantum entanglement of a human being, reality around, and how the interaction between a human being and reality works. And basically what I'm going to do, I'm going to read this and I'm going to prove this to be true with modern quantum physics. All right, water break. So, chapter 2 of the Patanjali Yoga Sutras. And by the way, what yoga means, okay, it's often explained as union. It's union with God. That's not a bad translation. Symbiosis would be more accurate in English. So symbiosis is when two separate things come together, merge, join something to create something new, and it's a third thing. Yeah, you have Eddie Brock. You have the Clintar alien species that when it's not merged with Eddie Brock, it's just a little bit of glue, right? A little bit of black glooby glue type sticky thing. And then when they merge, you have Venom, okay? So what yoga says is basically your energy and God's energy combine to make Venom, but a cool Venom, although Venom is pretty cool, right? So chapter 2 is all about study of the self. Yeah, it's about helping humanity overcome wrong identification of the self and the relationship between the seer and the power of sight. It's all about that which is seen, right, which relates to humans, and we know it relates to humans because that which is seen has tendencies of manifestation, which my next video is about, but not like affirmations and things. I'm talking about physical, tangible manifestation, and again, loads of scientific studies. So that's a cool one too. Go watch my next video and the last 2 videos as well. So a human being, that which is seen, has the tendencies of manifestation, action, continuation, and is in the nature of elements. It has senses and serves the purpose of experience and release. It's an interesting term there. The one who sees is nothing but the power of sight, who even being pure sees only through the perspective of the state of being. And finally, this is what the purpose is of that which is seen. Everything exists to exist, right? So I'm just going to give you my bullet point notes of what I took away from chapter 2. I realized what the true nature of self is, the true nature of consciousness, which is the relationship between the observer and the observed. And you know, with quantum entanglement, you need 2 things to be quantumly entangled. The true purpose of consciousness is to realize the relationship between the self, aka the individual, and the universal consciousness. And furthermore, the interaction between consciousness of the one and the individual also exists to facilitate the realization of the true nature of greater consciousness. It's a lot of notes to read. The individual consciousness is a means through which greater consciousness can realize its true distinct nature by experiencing itself through perception, and then transcend the individual and perceive itself in an even greater form. The relationship between the observer and the observed, the greater universal conscious and individual conscious, is about recognizing that while consciousness interacts with the material world, it is not from it. Okay, done with that. Right. Gotta take a few water sips, okay? Because this is a one take video, right? One take, bang this one out the park today. So this is where it's about to get crazy. Now I'll get onto quantum physics. And everything that the Patanjali Yoga Sutras just said is literally true with science. So the Page-Wootters mechanism, I am starting there. And if you don't know what the Page-Wootters mechanism is, well, that's like most people, okay? Here's the cliff notes. There is no such thing as time. There is no such thing as fluidity of motion. And if someone was to look at the universe, it would be like an outside perspective. It's a still image. It's a picture. It's not moving. And all of this exists in the natural state of the universe as it is, with exception to when quantum entanglement occurs. Now you have 2 particles. One of them acts as the observer, the one seeing things, and the other one acts as that which is seen, which also acts as a clock. And then, because the 2 are quantumly entangled, it then creates a system where time shifts, fluidity of motion exists, movement exists, because things are linked and then can process information forwards and backwards between themselves, right? Kind of like your consciousness and your energetic aura being quantumly entangled together. To give you an analogy of the Page-Wootters mechanism, and this is really deep science, by the way. It's really, really difficult quantum physics, which I am brilliantly explaining to you in a very, very simple manner. So to give you a beautiful analogy of the Page-Wootters mechanism, imagine a dance with 2 dancers, right? They're looking at each other. They are frozen. They're not moving. They are still. That's the universe. Yeah? That is the basic state of the universe. Frozen, nothing moving, everything still. But then, now imagine they're holding hands. And as long as they are holding hands, the dance can continue, or start really. It doesn't exist without them holding hands. You can have 2 dancers holding hands and then everything works as you would expect. But as soon as they stop holding hands, as soon as quantum entanglement ceases to occur, everything is now still. For those of you who know Bashar, channeled by Daryl, then basically Bashar, he talks about this, right? This is the science of what he talks about. Your conscious quantum jumping through billions of cycles a second, and everything is a still picture if that was not occurring. Because that's the reality of reality. Everything is a still picture unless your consciousness is consciously observing to make it moving. But it's not just your consciousness either. There's more. Reality observes itself. Yeah? If there was no human alive, no animal alive, Earth doesn't exist, wiped off the face of the space map, gone, entropy would still occur because reality is consciously observing itself and reality is quantumly entangled with other particles in reality. How does that happen and how do we know that? Right, double slit experiment, okay? I'm just going to give you cliff notes again. Basically, when we set up an experiment, right, with our lab coats and our safety goggles, because you're doing an experiment, but when you set up an experiment and you look at how subatomic particles move, right, and you've got a camera on, and then you test where they have touched and things, basically, okay? No diddy. But you test where they end up, where they've touched, and then you replicate that same experiment again without the camera this time watching the particles, then where they end up, where they touch, it's in a different position. Yeah, when you observe particles occurring, they act like particles. When you do not observe particles, then they act like waves. This is called particle wave duality in quantum physics. So, and again, not trying to bore you with science. If you have no idea what I said, when there are like atoms, particles, things like that, when you're looking at it, then it's like Toy Story and the toys don't move. Yeah, they're just lying on the floor. Okay, Woody just got his hand here. He's like, but as soon as you walk out the room, this is what happens to Woody. He's like, right, okay, what are we going to do today? Let's have fun. Yeah, they act one way when you're looking at them. They act a different way when you are not observing them. This is for every single particle that has ever been tested in every single time it's been tested. Every 100% success rate. Particles act differently when you are observing them to when you are not observing them. So how does that happen? Right? Is it magic? No. So this means that particles have awareness to some extent, okay, of themselves, of each other, and of everything else as well. So imagine life is a simulation like Elon Musk thinks it is. Then someone's programmed these particles to know when they're being watched. Yeah? So that means they have awareness of some kind. If life is not a simulation, right, and Elon Musk is wrong, and some people think God, right, created a universe, then God created a conscious universe that knows when things are being looked at and operate a certain way when things are being looked at. Yeah? Go check my last video about Maya to find out how the universe actually operates with all the quantum mechanics that I explained. Now say you don't believe in God, and also you don't believe in like a computer-based holographic simulation, and you just think everything happened with like, a big bang and there's an explosion. Well, two things. Number one, that means the universe naturally has awareness and the universe is consciously aware all by itself. And number two, what are you even basing that on? Because there is no science that suggests that. If you know anything about the James Webb Space Telescope, right, kind of like the Hubble but updated, then you will know that it has completely said, our science is wrong. We have no idea how old the universe is now. So that 13.8 billion years they tell you in school is made up. They say we have no idea what the Hubble constant is anymore, which means how fast the universe is expanding. We look at galaxies and stars that should not be there based on projections of what we thought the universe creation was like. Ooh, what else do we think now as well in modern physics? Gravity is not real. Imagine that. I've got a whole video. Go check it. It's a good one. I've got a whole video explaining general relativity. And I wrote a whole, well, 2 books, if I'm being honest, on general relativity, Hawking's radiation, quantum mechanics, astrophysics, explaining these things, the science of light, everything explained. Yeah, it's just not real. Okay, so like I said in my last video, the science of general relativity explains Maya, the illusion of reality, but quantum physics explains the reality of reality. And quantum physics shows without a shadow of a doubt that gravity does not exist and it is not real. And what we think is the reason gravity occurs through general relativity is just not true. Okay, the science says that, not me. And also, what we think is gravity is actually just quantumly entangled particles, which are stitched together in a woven fabric of cosmos and interacting with each other on a gigantic weave, right? Because it's consciousness and knows how to do these things to form the illusion and then continue the system. It's nuts. Yeah, it really is nuts. When you start digging deep into quantum mechanics like I do, woo! Did you know that your brain, your neurons and things creates, I think it's 11 dimensions of information processing capabilities, which are obviously not stored in your brain, right? It's just theoretical. It's just creating dimensions of space for knowledge retrieval and storage data system, right? Your neural network is just like, wow, doing crazy things that we never knew was possible. Imagine how to explain this. I take information, right, in my brain, and I don't use it that often, so I'm going to shelve it. I'm going to store it away in like the high top shelf bookshelf in a library. I might even store it on the 12th floor of my internal brain library, because I know a lot of stuff, right? I got a lot of books worth of knowledge in my head. So because I don't use that conversation in average, I don't use that knowledge in average conversation. I'm smart, but I talk quick and make mistakes like any other normal human being. So anyway, because I don't use this information regularly, my brain stores it away, and when it needs to retrieve it, it accesses that dimension to retrieve that knowledge, comes out my mouth and puts it away after use. That's mathematically proven, right? Topographical geometry prove that to be true. And let me tell you something about maths. Maths is real. And maths is linked to physics. If there is an algorithm that proves something to work, that's real, right? It's just real. Like geometry, people want to talk about sacred geometry. Mate, go Google positive geometry, because that's real physics. And that's even more mind-blowing than what people think sacred geometry is. Physics recently found a way to calculate pi through something entirely not related to the maths of how to calculate pi. It just exists in the universe. And physics and maths are intrinsically linked. So if maths proves it to be true, then it's true in physics, which means it's true in the reality if it's quantum physics, not general relativity. And it's just life, right? Okay, so double slit experiment. Yeah. String theory. This is where we're going to go back to string theory. And in my Maya 2, my second video of Maya, I explain what string theory is and what a string is. So this is how reality observes itself. When you look inside an atom, an electron, and everything, you get down to the base, you get to 10 to the power of minus 33 centimeters, right? A millionth of a billionth of a billionth of a billionth of a centimeter. You get infinitesimally small. There is no such thing as physical property. There is no such thing as material form. There is no such thing as like a solid substance. There is no such thing as a 3D shape, right? Because everything is flat. It's 2D. It is a energy vortex. That's a string. It's also conscious, because absolutely everything is made of atoms. Absolutely everything is made of strings. There are like 20, octillion. Is that 27 zeros? Yeah, I think it is. There's numerous octillion atoms in our body. That means there's numerous octillion conscious strings in our body. Shout out to my next video, because you can make these work for you in your benefit, okay? You can change your life with your thoughts, because your whole body is consciousness. This is another thing that spirituality did first, right? A conscious manifold of the universe, okay? So this is called Kali. Kali is basically the manifold of space-time consciousness. Everything that exists is consciousness. Everything. That's basically the concept of Kali, pretty much, right? Another non-Vedic example, okay? Kali is also like eternity in the Marvel Comics universe. If you look at a picture of eternity, it's basically an anthropomorphized figure, and it's got like galaxies and star systems inside it, and it consciously knows everything that operates inside it. But it's one unified being with its own consciousness, which has all of the individual consciousnesses inside it, like a hive mind for the universe. So every single part of consciousness feeds into it, and it experiences everything in everything, right? Literally everything as one. That's one great hive mind. It's like a multiverse of information and knowledge in one mind. It's called source. Yeah, the source of all. That's called Para Brahma in Sanskrit. It's called God. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. So I've kind of gone off topic here, very much so. And my notes are kind of meaningless at this point, if I'm being entirely honest with you. So this started as an aura video. It then went on to prove quantum entanglement in your brain being linked directly with your aura, with your energy output, with the relationship between your mind and the universe as one and the same. Then it went on to be a conscious universe. Then it went on to our whole body is a hive mind of unfathomable amount of little parts of consciousness, which then feed into the greater consciousness. That's a lot to take in. Watch my next video so you can find out how to work your consciousness to your perspective, shape, advancement. Do you know what? I got a bit distracted there because I saw the time. I was about to say my last word and hit stop, and it was going to be 36, right? I saw that angel number and it genuinely distracted me. But my next video, it will teach you how to use your mind to change your reality for the benefit and make positive situations in your life. You'll be able to sort your health out. You'll be able to sort out just a whole bunch of things, right? Everything will be scientifically backed by evidence and study. And go check it out, okay? Bless.